Greetings everyone. We are the Group 1 and we are assigned to the liquidity ratios of the Jollibee Foods Corporation Company.
Before discussing further, it is best to know first the background of the company. Jollibee Foods Corporation is a Philippines-based company that was originally started by Tony Tan Kak Tiong as an ice cream parlor in 1975. It was incorporated on January 11, 1978 and is currently one of Asia's top quick service restaurant chains by market value, engaging in the development, operation, and franchising of quick service restaurants under the famous trade name Jollibee. As presented, the company holds a number of subsidiaries that operate trade names familiar to us like Chowking and Greenwich, the bakery chain Red Ribbon trade name, the Mang Inasal trade name, and the Burger King trademark in the Philippines being franchised by Perth Restaurants Incorporated. JFC opened its first ever Pho 24 store in the Philippines, a brand that serves traditional Vietnamese cuisine under the Superfoods Group that owns and operates brands like Dunkin' Donuts. Other than that, it has subsidiaries and affiliates outside the Philippines which develop and operate its international brands. Aside from what's being presented, JFC also has restaurants in other places like Singapore, US, and Vietnam. In addition to that, new markets have been entered in 2018: Milan, Macau, London, and Malaysia. All of the dishes sold by the chains are being prepared on-site and are based on original company recipes as per the company's standards and procedures. Tan Kak Tiong stepped down as Jollibee CEO and handed his position to his younger brother, Ernesto Tan Man Tiong. He is now the chairman of JFC. In 2018, JFC opened 502 stores, their highest number of new stores in a year within their 40-year history. 317 stores in the Philippines and 185 new stores abroad. JFC is now the sole owner of Smash Burger as it acquired the additional 45% share and remaining 15% stakes of the business. Lastly, new business ventures were planned and started, like building a Mexican fast casual restaurant business with the award-winning chef Rick Bayless in the United States and bringing Panda Express into the Philippines.
Okay, so let's talk about the financial statement analysis. So first, what is financial statement analysis? Financial statement analysis is the process of analyzing a company's financial statement for decision-making purposes. External stakeholders use it to understand the overall health of an organization as well as to evaluate financial performance and business value. A set of financial statements include two essential statements, the balance sheet and the income statement. There are generally 6 steps to developing an effective analysis of financial statements. The first one, we have to identify the industry economic characteristics. Second is to identify company strategies. Third is to assess the quality of the firm's financial statements. And the fourth is to analyze current profitability and risk. Fifth is to prepare forecasted financial statements, and the last one is to value the firm. So next, what is ratio analysis? Ratio analysis compares line item data from a company financial statements to reveal insights regarding profitability, liquidity, operational efficiency, and solvency. Ratio analysis can mark how a company is performing over time while comparing a company to another within the same industry or sector. Ratio analysis are mathematical comparisons of financial statement, account, or categories. So next, we have the current ratio formula. Current ratio is equal to current assets divided by the current liabilities. So the next is, we have here the gathered information or data of the JFC's company which is given. So look at the result of the current ratio in each year. We have the year of 2015 until 2019. The numbers show the result of the liquidity ratios that correspond to the year given. The liquidity in the year 2015 has a current ratio of 1.29. The next year shows a slight difference in numbers that decreased by 0.2 of the ratio. In 2017, it increased up to 1.39, which is the highest peak of the ratio that the JFC had. And the succeeding year 2018 and 2019 shows a huge drop. It means that a measure of the company's ability to pay short-term obligations or those due within 1 year has no stability. This implies that the company is less liquid given that the year 2019 has a ratio of 0.74 and every 1 peso of the company's short-term obligation can sustain that they can only have 0.74 of current assets. The current liabilities exceed the current assets, in which the current ratio of the company is less than 1. This indicates the JFC company has a higher risk of distress or default, and the management may not be using their assets efficiently.
Hi, I'm Rychel and I'm going to explain the current ratio. So, what is current ratio? And how was the current ratio calculated? And what do low and high current ratios imply? So, what is current ratio? The current ratio is a liquidity ratio that measures a company's ability to pay short-term obligations or those due within 1 year. It tells investors and analysts how a company can maximize the current assets on its balance sheet to satisfy its current debt and other payables. Current ratio is one of the most commonly used ratios. It is calculated as current assets divided by current liabilities. In the balance sheet of Jollibee's Food Corporation, the total current assets in the year 2019 is 45,628 pesos. The total current liabilities is 62,030 pesos. The current ratio in that year is 0.74. And for the year 2018, its total current assets are 42,738 pesos. And the total current liabilities is 34,185 pesos. And the current ratio in that year is 1.25. The year 2017, its total current assets are 37,329 pesos. And the total current liabilities is 26,947 pesos. The current ratio is 1.39. The total current assets in 2016 are 30,369 pesos, and the total current liabilities is 23,831 pesos, and the current ratio is 1.27. And in 2015, its total current assets are 27,169 pesos, and the total current liabilities is 21,068 pesos, and the current ratio is 1.29. To creditors, the higher the current ratio, the less risky it would be to lend money. So, what do low and high current ratios imply? A higher current ratio can indicate liquidity, but it can also indicate that a company is not efficiently using its assets and other short-term assets. If a company's current ratio is less than 1, then this would mean that they have negative net working capital, and this would be an unusually unhealthy sign.
I will be talking about the current ratio analysis. So, based on our findings in the analysis, the calculation shows that from the year 2015 to 2018, the company has actually reached its ideal current assets. So in 2015, we got 1.29, 2016, we got 1.27, 2017, we got 1.39, and 2018, we got 1.25. So it is the ideal current ratio because 1 is actually the ideal current ratio, so it still has an extra for its liabilities. So the current ratio suggests that the company is still liquid. So yes, as I said earlier, that the company is still liquid because it actually reached its ideal current ratio, and it still has sufficient assets to cover for its liabilities. But however, so we go to 2019. So in 2019, there was a massive decrease in 2019. So there was a massive decline. So it's only 0.74. Like I said earlier, the ideal current ratio is 1. It didn't actually reach 1. And now it doesn't have the sufficient current asset to pay for, or yeah, for the current ratio. So now we will be going to the financial statement to check why 2019 had a massive decline. So let me go to the financial statements. So first factor we need to look at is, of course, the accounts receivable. So as I can see, so both gross and net in the accounts receivable, there is at the start, it is kind of big. We have 5,055 for the net of 2015. Then on the next year, which is 2016, we have it actually decreased, so it's 3,029, and then in the following year it actually slowly increased into 3,387. The next following year, 2018, had 4,004. So in 2019, as we can see, there is a difference, so it's now at 5,951. That's for the total account receivable. So now another factor we have to go is to the other current assets. The other current assets is, we will be looking at is 2015. It started with 1,607, so that is still small. So through the following years, it actually increased and slowly increased. So in 2016, it reached to 2,052, and then in 2017, it reached to 2,537, and the next 2018, it actually reached 3,340. So 2019, it's also a fair and high amount. So now we go to another factor is we go to accounts payable. So as what I said earlier, it started with a small amount. Small amount is fair amount. I mean, that is 9,434, and then slowly increase again, 9,945. Slowly increase again, 10,878. So it increased again. I think it is a sharp increase, so it's now 13,095, and then increased to 14,676. So I think that these are the indications why that 2019 had a massive decline. Now we check at the total liabilities. So the total liabilities have, so here there is a massive or a sharp increase. Okay, let's start by 2015. 2015 started with 33,873, slowly increased to 38,580, then increased again to 47,666, and then increased again 64,454, and then until this is a very sharp increase from 64,454, it became to 120,441. I think another factor I think here that why it declined so much, I think because of the net property, plant and equipment. There was also a massive exchange. There was a massive increase here. From 26,000 in 2018, it turned into, by 2019, it turned to 60,624. That is a very massive increase. So maybe because of the company's investment, that's why there was a massive decline. So that is all for my current ratio analysis.
Type of liquid ratio is quick test or acid test ratio. This type of ratio is used to indicate a company's short-term liquidity position and used to measure a company's ability to meet its short-term obligations or indicates its capacity to pay its current liabilities using its most liquid assets. The formula for quick ratio is current assets minus inventories minus other current assets divided by current liabilities. Using this formula, for current assets will only include liquid assets, assets that can be quickly converted to cash, except inventories and other current liabilities, as these are not easily convertible to cash. And for current liabilities will include all current liabilities. We have here from 2015 to 2018. So to solve for the quick ratio for the year 2018, as shown in the balance sheet, the only current assets that can easily be convertible to cash are cash and short-term investments and accounts receivable. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have to include inventories and other current assets as these are not easily convertible to cash. So for 2018, we just have to add 23,097 total of cash and short-term investments and 5,951 accounts receivable, which result to 29,048 and then divided to 62,032 total current liabilities of 2018. So the answer is 0.47 and that is the quick ratio for 2019. Same thing for 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. We just have to add all liquid assets and divide it to the total current liabilities in the corresponding year. So for 2018, it has a quick ratio of 0.85, 0.98 for 2017, 0.88 for 2016, and 0.85 for 2015. For the result, if the ratio is higher, it means the company's liquidity and financial health is better, and if it is lower, it means that the company will more likely struggle to pay its liabilities.
Based on the data presented, the quick ratio for the year 2015 is 0.85, while on the year 2016 it raised to 0.88. This shows us a slight difference that increased by 0.03 of the quick ratio. In the year 2017, it increased up to 0.98, which shows us that JFC had enough assets to pay their liabilities. The following years, however, showed an enormous drop, especially in the year 2019.
The year 2018 quick ratio shows a decrease of 0.13 of the ratio. The current year is much lower than the previous year. This clearly shows that the company does not have enough liquid assets to pay for its current liabilities. This is telling us that the JFC potentially has liquid problems compared to the previous year. JFC does not manage its liquid assets properly.
With the trend line, as you can see, the current ratio and the quick ratio of the Jollibee Foods Corporation is positioned below the industry average, but this doesn't mean that the company is doing bad. Though the company is positioned below the industry average, but the calculations of the liquidity ratios, which are the current and the quick ratios, shows decent and good results, which is enough to tell that the GFC or the Jollibee Food Corporation is liquid. This resonates why financial ratios are very important, because it plays a big role in assessing the declining of a company's assets that affect the liquidity, which helps the entity to rapidly employ strategies and master plan to aid the firm's financial performance.
For the recommendation, the liquidity ratio and its operation is the fundamental measure and basis of the liquidity control process. The liquidity ratio refers to the forms that are part of the liquidity process to get the result. The quick ratio resulted in the increase of JFC's assets every year. The value is quite impressive, and the company has the ability to convert the assets into cash. and by the looks of it, you can sell the assets without affecting the prices of the products. Improving the liquidity ratio may be possible if you can make your accounts receivable increase. In this way, you can receive money for your sales faster. Give importance to the old accounts in order for you to pay liabilities as quickly as possible, especially those accounts that have low money value. Get rid of those useless assets. The more you keep them, it will waste resources without earning. Try and risk these assets to get a good price. Your cash balance will increase and the ratio will improve.
That will be it for the Jollibee Foods Corporation liquidity ratios. I hope you learned something with our report. Thank you very much.